Lying in bed at night, I would become so frightened thinking about these things that I'd cry out for my father. "Papa!" I'd shout, summoning him to my door. "I can't sleep. I'm afraid." My father had no place for magic in his life. To me, this made him seem even stronger. As a devout Presbyterian, he believed that God, not juju, was his best protection. "Respect the wizards," he would tell me, straightening my bed covers. "But remember, William, with God on your side, they have no power against you." I trusted my father, but as I got older, I began to wonder how his explanation accounted for Chuck Norris, Terminator, and Rambo, who arrived at the Wimbe Trading Center one summer and caused all kinds of ruckus. These men appeared in action movies that played in the local video show, which was really just a mud hut with benches, a television, and a VCR. At night, wonderful and mysterious things happened there, but since I wasn't allowed out after dark, I never saw any of them. Instead, I had to hear stories the next morning from friends whose parents weren't so strict. "Last night, I watched the best of all movies," said my friend Peter. "Rambo jumped from the top of the mountain and was still firing his gun when he landed at the bottom. Everyone in front of him died, and the entire mountain exploded." He pretended to clutch a machine gun and fire in all directions. "When will they start showing these films during the day?" I said. "I never get to see anything." The night the Terminator came to the video show, it was simply shocking. When Peter found me the next morning, he was still in a state. "William, I just don't understand this movie. This man was shot left, right, and center, and yet he still managed to live. I'm telling you, this Terminator must be the greatest wizard ever." It sounded fantastic. "Do you think the Americans have such magic?" I asked. "I don't believe it." "This is what I saw," Peter said. "I'm telling you it's true." My parents wanted me home before dark, but that was my favorite time of day anyway. It was when my father and Uncle John, Jeffrey's father, finished their work in the maize fields and came home for supper. In the kitchen, my older sister Annie helped my mother prepare the food. Since we had no electricity, we still cooked everything over a fire. As Annie fed sticks into the flames, my mother stirred a pot of something delicious, letting the smells escape into the courtyard. Since I was a growing boy, it was hard for me to wait, even if I'd just eaten cañeña in the trading center. With my stomach growling, I'd stand in the doorway begging. "Just a few more minutes," my mother would say. "By the time you wash your hands and face, it will be ready." Usually before supper, my cousins gathered in the courtyard and played soccer. Since we had no money for a real ball, we made our own using plastic shopping bags that we called jumbos, wadded together and tied with rope. They didn't have the same kind of bounce as a real soccer ball, but they still allowed us to play. All across Africa, children used the same jumbo balls. If it was the rainy season, when the mangoes were ripe, we filled our pails from the neighbors' trees and ate them for dessert. We bit into the juicy fruit and let the sweet syrup run down our fingers. If there wasn't any moonlight for playing soccer, my father gathered all the children, cousins and all, in the living room, lit a kerosene lamp, and told us folk tales. "Be still and hush up," he would say. "Now, have I told you the story about the leopard and the lion?" "Tell it again, Papa." Sometimes my father forgot the stories and made up new ones as he went along, creating new characters and outrageous endings. And while we loved hearing these tales, the truth was that real life was sometimes difficult to distinguish from fantasy.